Hi, welcome to Pearls of Motherhood. I'm your host, Tessie.
And I'm your host, Diana. Today, we're diving into a topic that's both beautiful and a little bit complicated: how your relationship with your partner changes after you have kids.
Whether you're expecting, you're a new mom, a seasoned pro, having kids is a massive transition, not just for your lifestyle, but for your relationship too. Parenthood can test even the strongest of relationships. It's a shift from being two people who share everything, becoming a team that juggles a million things while still trying to stay connected. But how do you maintain that deep partnership while navigating the sleepless nights, the diaper changes, all the dishes, all the responsibilities in the house that literally like multiply the laundry that just comes out of I swear it just like
They
multiplies.
they do. It's like it mutates, and now there's a million of them.
Yes. And so honestly, who you choose to have kids with is the most important decision you're ever going to make in your life. Honestly, you know, it's even more important than who you marry because, let's be honest, you can get married to somebody, not have kids with them, and get divorced and never have to speak with them again. But if you have kids with somebody, like there is all of these things like you have to think about parenting styles, healthcare decisions. You have to be on the same page with like discipline and education and all of that. And that's a lifelong thing that you're tied to this person.
Not just your lifetime, but your child's lifetime. Don't forget
Yes.
things like big issues like religion or
Hmm.
morals, things like that. That's huge.
Yes, huge.
So,
Which you should probably be on the same page with whoever you're having kids with before you ever have kids on all of these major life things. Because once the kids are here, it obviously doesn't get any easier.
no,
Only gets harder.
only harder. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about the real changes that happen when you go from being partners to being parents, the challenges that come up, and most importantly, how to keep your relationship strong through it all. But before we get into it, let's get into some mom facts and book corner. So, I don't know about you, Tess, but after I became a mom, I feel braver. I am
Yes.
I am super into trying new things and even advocating for, well, I always advocated for other people, but never for myself, and I never thought I would advocate for my kids. But apparently, I'm not the only one. Research has suggested that the brain of a mom may show an increased tolerance to risky situations, possibly because of the hormone oxytocin, which increases trust and confidence. So, oxytocin is one of those hormones that causes smooth muscle contraction. So, when you are in labor, it's all oxytocin to push that baby out, and also when you're lactating. So, we have an increased dose of that on a regular basis. And this could explain why some moms are more willing to take on challenges after becoming parents. I just thought it's because I don't have the time to care about what anyone else thinks. So I just jump in.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I do feel braver too. Like, I also just do not care if pretty much what anyone says or thinks. And if you're going to say something to my kid, I'm actually going to say something back. Whereas before, I would have just like, it's kind of like if you want to like mistreat me badly, I'm like, okay, well, I just brush it off, turn the cheek, just
Mm-hmm.
walk away. But there's like this different like fire in my belly if it comes to my kids. And I'm just,
Mama
I
bear
don't
comes
hold back.
out.
Totally. Tiger stripes and mama bear. And it's all coming out.
They better look out.
Yeah.
I thought it was because I just went around making so many decisions in a day that I just am so now used to making decisions that I'm just more confident. But oxytocin is the reason. Okay.
Wow. And I've heard that you get oxytocin from hugs, that you can, if you have like a longer than a
Mhm.
20-second hug, you can get oxytocin from that. And like, that's pretty much all I do all day long is snuggle my babies all day
Mhm.
long. So,
Me too. I chase my kid around just to try to snuggle her. She runs away, but I still run. I still go after her. I need my fix.
Exactly.
So more hugs for more oxytocin so moms feel braver. I love that equation.
Yes. Love it. And moms need to be brave, especially nowadays. We got to be brave.
Yeah.
Things are always coming at us.
Left and right and everywhere else.
So in Book Corners this week, we're going to talk about the Eric Carle books. Do you guys like Eric Carle books?
Yes. My daughter loves the Eric Carle books. The Very Hungry Caterpillar. We also do, I think he's only the co-author or the illustrator, but it's called Brown Bear, What Do You See? She is obsessed with that book. And that book actually taught her colors.
Yes. That's what I love about his books. Like, my kids love all of them. The Quiet Cricket, Mix Up Chameleon, and then there's the Polar Bear, What Do You Hear? And the cool thing about it is it teaches without you really feeling like you're learning, and they learn the colors, they learn sounds, they learn the animals, they learn so many things. There's one head to toe. And they learn about their body and movements and different animals. It's just like there's so many different ones. And my kids have always been obsessed with them, like obsessed. They're one of the first books that they memorized, many of them. They loved them so much when they were very little, before they could read. They memorized them. And you'd think they were reading the book, but they knew it. And so that's fun too, because it's an easy book for them to remember, and they learn. And they're colorful. The illustrations are great. It's just such an awesome, every book he's written is a good book.
Yeah, and it goes way back. I remember reading that Very Hungry Caterpillar when I was young and reciting it from memory. And it's the same thing. My baby sister, who's 10 years younger than me, I thought she knew how to read because she was reciting Eric Carle books. And I said, Mom, she can read. And then my mom comes running in and the pages are stuck together, but my sister just keeps on going. And we go, oh no, she just memorized it. But hey, that's pretty good. So yeah, they are our tried and true series. They're amazing.
Love them.
Okay, so let's start in our segment. The first big question, what exactly changes when you become parents? Okay, it's obvious. You do diaper changes, midnight feedings, poop everywhere, all those things. But the real shift is emotional and psychological. So the first big one is quite obvious. We have less time for each other. After having kids, your schedules evolve and revolve around their feedings, their diaper changes, school pickups, bedtime routines. So this can leave very little time for uninterrupted conversations and date nights. So how do we cope with that?
Prioritizing time is a huge, you have to prioritize your relationship and you have to put it into the schedule if it is important to you. And I know that it's hard, and it obviously gets harder the more kids that you have. But even if it's just every now and then a quiet dinner at home after the kids go to bed, just talking, like my husband and I just sit after they're all in bed. We just sit and talk in the dark a little bit and catch up about the day. It doesn't have to be big, but it does kind of have to be consistent. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're just going to end up growing apart and becoming like two strangers who are living in the same house. So
lonely.
It's important and it can be done, but it has to be a priority. You have to prioritize this kind of stuff. And also embracing the little moments. Just like anytime you get small little pockets of time, like morning coffee together, go on a little walk. You can go on a family walk too and talk. It's actually easier than being in the car for us to talk. They never shut up in the car. But on a walk, they're fine. So try to find
things to entertain them.
Yeah. So it's something you do have to do it. it's just like anything in life. If you want it to succeed, you have to put time and prioritize it.
How do you do it?
So for us, like we kind of talk at once they're all in bed, we just sit and kind of talk and catch up about certain things. And one thing that I like to do anyways, I don't think my husband likes this as much, but we go out to eat alone.
Oh, that's so nice.
Date night. Yeah. I mean, it's never really like a true date night. Like we don't get all dolled up and stuff, but we do drop the kids off with the grandparents and just go for an hour and a half and go have dinner. And it's spectacular. That's like the most thing that we do together, I would say, like the most time. And then it also helps. Like he's home all day. He's around. We have times to catch up. His mind is always somewhere else though, because he's also working, but that's kind of how we do it. We just, it's literally the small moments in time that we just capture. We don't have like days or weekends. We've never taken a weekend away, just us. You know what I mean? Like you can do that. And that's probably a good thing to do. But, consistency is probably more important than that, which is what we do, is like small little moments.
That's what my husband and I do. We really embrace those small moments. We do like quick check-ins. For some reason, it's always in the kitchen. I don't know why. It can be when I'm making dinner and he's running through to get a snack for the baby, and we'll just stop and say, you know, it's usually at the same place, at the same kitchen counter, and we go, "Hey, is everything okay?" Or we'll just like passing by, just hold hands real quick. Our new favorite one, actually. So before our baby was born, we would watch a comedy every night before going to sleep. And now we just curl up after the baby's asleep. We curl up on her nursery floor with our little phone and we watch an episode of something. So and we look forward to that. So consistency is key, because you look forward to it, and it's something small. It's something that's doable with the baby around, and you don't have to go anywhere or make any plans. So I'm with you on that. The small moments are the most doable moments.
Yeah. When I think back on before we had kids and the amount of time that we spent together, because he also worked from home then, and I didn't work. I was a housewife, so you say.
You were running the house. You were a home CEO.
Well, I was also helping with the business and stuff, so it wasn't like I didn't do anything.
And
but
you were building your own empire.
Exactly. So, anyways, like we did everything together. We, obviously you do everything together. We were together all day. We literally showered every single night together, every single night. And that was just our thing. And then literally once the baby came, I was like, do I even get a shower today? That doesn't happen anymore. And so I think back about all the, like, we would go out to eat all these magnificent places and do all these things and travel, and we did so much. We were just always together,
and they were always
big. So different, always big. Yeah. And always just like we would watch television together. We watched so many seasons of different shows together. And now we literally have not watched a show together since probably my first was like an infant, when I was breastfeeding,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not a thing that we do anymore. We just don't have time for that. When it's time, now that we're at almost 5 kids, when they're in bed by 8:00, like, we go to bed. Like, we're exhausted. We stay up for 15-20 minutes, catch up on the day or any relevant things or any gossip that I'm like, you got to give me some gossip here, because I'm like just stuck with kids all day and you have a life. So,
you talk to others than people who are taller than our toddlers.
Yeah, like, you clearly have a more exciting life than I do. So, like, fill me in here. Tell me what's going on. And so I make him do gossip with me. And then after that, it's like, okay, I'm tired.
Goodbye. Good night.
Yeah. It's just such a different relationship that you can't prepare yourself for. You really can't. It's such a different relationship.
It is.
It's so crazy.
We used to do a lot of long hikes, weekend hikes out 10 miles, not even a problem. I can't get a mile away from my daughter right now because it's like she knows if I'm about to walk out the door. So those times don't happen anymore. But embrace the small moments because they are the most doable ones.
Yeah.
So the second thing that changes obviously are your shifting priorities. So your relationship can feel like it's taking a backseat because you just don't have the time for those big gestures because you're focusing on parenting. So before kids, your relationship is all about you and your partner spending time together, enjoying all those spontaneous dates that we talked about. But after that, it's all about the children. Now, instead of just being partners, you're co-parents. You're responsible for a tiny human and maybe several tiny humans like you, Tessie. And that means a lot less time for you and a lot less brain space for you. So how can we cope with that? This is something I had a really hard time with, actually. Still
Yeah,
do.
coping with like the change in your own relationship and how it's completely different.
Yes. Everyone told me, oh, your first one, it's going to be so easy. Wait until you have your second one. There's not going to be a second one. Let's make that clear. But everyone told me that it was going to be so easy. It's going to be such a natural thing. And I had a really hard time with the shifting priorities because for so long, it was just me and my husband, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And so when we added another little person to the mix, it was hard. How do you suggest with nearly five kids?
Well, I feel like it's a huge shock to the system that you don't see coming,
Yes.
just like everything. Once you have your first child, everything is every single day, almost minute is like this huge shock to the system that you didn't see coming. You feel like you got hit by a freight train every time you turn around. That's how it feels once you have your first one. So I don't know who thinks the first one is easy because that adjustment, especially for my lifestyle personally, I was such a free person,
Mm-hmm.
and I had so much self-care and just like we had the greatest relationship. And that I think that does help, like starting at a foundation of like a strong relationship. But it was very hard. And all the emotions, the emotional roller coaster that comes with just having a baby, let alone having all of these life changes in your lifestyle that is never going to be the same. And it's almost like you're grieving a loss, right? That of your like previous life.
Yeah. Like the person I used to be is gone and I didn't expect that.
Yes. And the person your husband used to be is gone too.
Yes.
And you don't expect that either.
Mm-mm.
And so it's like all about like, I think I've talked about this before. When you have life with kids, nothing goes as planned. Like you can never, ever, ever expect anything to be what you expect it to be. It's just not going to happen. So you really have to reframe your mindset and recognize that prioritizing your relationship benefits your entire family. And it is important to maintain a strong partnership to create stable, loving environment for your children, because it can easily, especially after a baby is born, like that postpartum period is probably the most hard on your relationship. And instead of like turning on each other, which I think can happen, you really have to work together and make it basically a goal of, okay, well, now we have these aligned goals basically to raise this human in a certain way. How are we going to do that? You got to set goals.
That's really important. And have like embrace the small moments, those small intentional acts. One of the things that really moved me to tears when I was first postpartum was when my husband brought me a glass of water. And I just started bawling because he was saying, I see you. I know you need a break. Hey, I know you're hurting. You can't get up and do this. Let me do this for you. And it made me just feel so loved and so, I guess, seen, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting too, like how as much as your relationship changes, it gets so much stronger, and you recognize these things in your partner that you never like saw coming either. Like my husband was literally having to bedpan me after
Mm-hmm.
my first whenever I had to use the restroom, and he just did it like a champ, you know?
Yeah.
He took care of me, and it strengthened our relationship because we put each other first.
Yep. Same thing with me. I had a C-section. So, of course, you come home from the hospital in diapers, and I had no strength. I couldn't even lift up my legs to get the diaper off. And my husband had to change my diaper, and he had to bathe me the first few weeks because he didn't trust me to stand on my own. And I couldn't bend down to wash my own legs. And
Yeah.
it strengthens your relationship because how many people really outside of your parents bathed you?
Yeah, right.
And then you become parents and you get bathed again. So it's a full circle thing.
Yeah, it's incredible how it just can strengthen that bond that you have, and you're just like, wow, this person really loves me. I knew that, but like now it really feels like it.
Yep. Because they're doing things for you that you normally in your own private life you do for yourself, and they're not freaking out about it. They're like, hey, it's okay, no big deal. And
Yeah,
that's true love right there.
it is. And it also, this is where, like, when you become a mother, the amount of humility that you get instantaneously, pretty much, because first off, you're like spread eagle. Well, me, spread eagle, like everyone's looking there. There's a baby coming out. Like you just don't have the ability to have shame. You just like, there's no modesty,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden. And then you're breastfeeding and your boobs are constantly hanging out. Your in-laws are seeing your boobs. Like that happened to me. And it's just like super awkward, and like everybody's seeing your whole body. You just like don't have this ability to, and you just like get so humbled.
It's not about you anymore. It's about what is happening for your entire family, that you are going to have to take small hits to make things better. Like honestly, like birth. There's no
Yeah.
humility there. Everyone sees it, but you know that in the long run it's for the good thing because it's for the baby. So
Yes.
reframing your mindset is essential and something that you can prepare yourself for, but nothing can truly prepare you until you're actually living it. So if you're having a hard time reframing that mindset, know that you're not alone. So many women
Yeah.
have a hard time with that. I did, you did, Tess, and I'm sure if
Yeah.
you have stories out there, please share it with us because it's something that no one talks about really.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you can't do things that you could normally do for yourself, and you're a perfectly capable human being and you need help just to get a glass of water, just to take a shower, it's like you just have to really humble yourself. It's incredible. Yeah, yeah. And like speaking of shifting priorities, like what were your priorities before kids, and like now that you have kids? Because mine are very different too of what
Oh
I
yeah.
prioritize in my life.
Oh yeah. It used to be career, self-care, things like that. Like really, I guess when I look back, like really selfish things. And
Yes,
now it's
yeah.
all about being selfless because you have to put that baby ahead of you. And that was a big
Yeah.
one for me. Oh, working out, hiking, doing all those great things to keep myself strong and healthy. And now I can't even take a shower on my own. That was pretty terrifying. What? I can't lift my legs up to get my diaper off? Okay, that's awkward. I used to be able to do crunches, not a problem. And then you have no ab strength. That's another thing.
I don't know what the C-section.
I remember having to get up. The first time I sat up on my own because no one was around to help me, even because I just had to get up on my own for some reason. I had to roll myself out of bed because I couldn't sit up, and there was no other way for me to get up other than leveraging gravity, really. I hope that I landed on my feet, and thank goodness I did.
That's so true. It's same with me. Like I prioritized business and self-care and just like enjoying life pretty much, I guess, which I'm kind of glad that I did do that at least. I'm going to do that now, but but like traveling and just living it up, you know? And now that none of that stuff is actually important to me anymore. It's just like the well-being of my kids. Are they, you know, are they becoming good human beings? That's my priority. Raising good human beings.
Yep. Mine is still really low. You see, you're way above me. I'm just like, she alive? We're good. my bar for a good day is everyone alive, and does everyone have the same number of digits they started the day with? That's my idea of a good day.
Yeah. So what about in your relationship? Like, how has your priorities shifted?
It has shifted from all about us, him, he's the number one, to not exactly who are you, but more of you know, you're on your own, buddy. I can't help you with that. Sorry. I used to do nice things like, oh, he wants to go to the gym, but I know he's super busy today, so I'll pack the gym bag for him. Now I'm like, I think you have clean underwear somewhere in that pile. No, not that one over there. Yep, that's it. Good luck.
That's so true.
I used to have such a nice, neat home, and I don't now, and that's okay.
I know I used to iron my husband's shirts and I was so proud of that.
Me
and
too.
Now I'm just like, we got the wrinkle thing in the dryer. Like here's your steam machine. And he's fine with it.
I did one better. I said, these are non-wrinkle polo shirts. You're welcome.
There you go. Yeah, I remember before kids, because you've stayed with us a couple times, you used to bring him a cup of coffee in bed, right? Or every morning.
Yep.
You would make it. Do you still do that?
No, so again, that goes back to the small things. I'll still make him a cup of coffee, but he's got to go get it on his own because I don't have time for that. So while I'm standing at the machine, I have enough time to push the button one more time for him after I made my own. And then you're on your own. If it's cold, that's on you, buddy. You know it's there.
I know. My husband is lucky if I like get around to making him breakfast in the morning. It's like I feel so bad about that, but like sometimes I just forget. I just forget about him, and I'm just like, sorry.
Well, there's like, so many of them.
I know, and you know what? It works out because they never eat anything I make, anyways, and they just leave it on their plates. And he comes. He's like our dog, you know. He just like eats all the scraps off of the table, and that's why we don't need a dog. So it works out perfectly.
Your husband is the perfect person. He is a husband. He is a provider. He is the family pet. Aw.
And he has the perfect personality to like match a dog too.
He does. He's so patient and loving. He's the best.
He is. He's so loyal, patient, loving, caring, just everything. It's like, maybe he's reincarnated from a dog. I don't know. But he'll eat anything. Like literally, he'll eat anything. He never complains.
He just wants to be fed. That's it.
That's it. I do think that men do like that when we cook for them. I really do. But, you know.
Well, because the alternative is get your own cereal. Or, you know, McDonald's is right down the road, buddy. Good luck. You know where the car keys are.
You are an adult too.
Yep. So it definitely, my relationship with my husband has definitely changed. It's less doting on him because I can't. And there's only one child. If there were more, I don't think I can. I think my brain would explode. Yeah. So another thing that changes when you go from partners to parents is increased conflict. There can be disagreements over things like discipline, finances, household responsibilities. And also you as a mom, you're hurting, you're exhausted. So your nerves are super frayed and super raw, and things that once bothered you bother you even more. Things that never bother you irritate you to no end. And things that you once ignored cannot be ignored anymore. So, Tess, how can you cope with that?
Oh my God. I don't even know if there is coping with that. It is true. Especially when you're pregnant and you have kids, and like every little thing is just like 10 times more irritating. And I think like just the thing that you have to do is like communicate openly and approach it as disagreements, and not like, you can't be angry. You can't just like lash out at each other. You're not adversaries. You're on the same team. You
That's
have to
so
remember
hard.
that.
That's so
Yeah,
hard.
it's so hard. It's so hard. Especially when, like, I swear I get it in my head, like, he's doing this on purpose.
Yes. Like, you know what? Another one for me is like keeping score. Do not keep score. Because in my head, I go,
yeah.
you know what? I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things, and you did one. And that is just not the way to do it. It's like that little tiny evil voice in my head that one says, pick a fight. He is your enemy, so attack. And two, this is the whole list of offenses. Go at it.
Yeah. And they're the easiest person to kind of take out your anger out when you just can't hold it in anymore, I guess. But it's not good for the relationship. And it's probably better just to journal or get it out some other way, vent your feelings, get a therapist, somebody who actually will be like, yes, I'll listen to your problems if you pay me. And that's it. Have a good friend who you can vent to. I have good friends that I can vent to who get it. I feel like, honestly, all of us women, we're in the same boat, especially if we're married. Like, we know what it's like to be married to a man, period. And like, that's enough said. We know what it's like. It's like our extra child, right? And they obviously don't do it on purpose. They're all the same. I joke about things. I use humor to cope a lot. And so I'm always like joking with my husband, well, it's because you have like a Y chromosome and it didn't develop all the way and stuff like that. And so, I can't really blame you. Yeah, I can't blame you because this is the fate that God gave you. But like, why do I have to be the one to deal with it? I don't know. But I think humor is a huge way to cope with things that are hard in life, personally. And so if you can find somebody or a friend or somebody who like knows, they're married, they get it, who you can kind of just vent to and also make jokes about it, because it's not going away.
We get it.
Us.
Get it.
So yeah.
Also respecting each other's strengths. I think reframing your partner's unique contributions is really important. For example, for me, his biggest contribution is his patience. I have very little of it, and he has a lot. So when I am picking a fight, because I do that, unfortunately, and he's, okay, honey, okay, like just parrying every blow I throw at him. I have to stop. At first I get angry, like, come on, say something back, because I just really want to go at it. But he's doing the right thing. He's taking a breath and letting me calm down and not, instigating more, because then once we're at each other's throats, what good is that going to do? Nothing. It satisfied that small little evil voice in my head that tells me to do something like this. But in the long run, it doesn't do anything. So appreciating their unique contributions is really, really helpful.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty lucky to have like really chill, patient, like calm husbands when we're acting crazy, because let's just face it, motherhood makes you crazy. I'm just saying, it does. Like I don't know if it's the hormones, if it's the lack of sleep, if it's I have no idea, but
all of the above.
And it's not that we want to be crazy, okay? None of us want to feel this way or be this way. Like when I had kids, I literally imagined that I was going to be like Mary Poppins, like so fun and like the best mother. They're just going to worship me and love me so much because I'm so kind to them and I'm never going to be mean. And I'm, and like they know how to push your buttons to the point where they make you crazy. I don't even know how to describe it.
I idolize Mary Poppins too, how she just magically makes things better. And I think that because she is magical, I really think that just in retrospect, now that I'm a mother, I think that she could magically freeze time so she has time for self-care. I think that was one of her big secrets that was never divulged by Disney, but I think that practicing self-care was her means to everything.
It's gotta be. Yeah. It's gotta be.
So another way to cope with the increased conflict is actually practicing self-care, taking time for yourself, taking a breather, taking a walk. We're going to have a whole episode on actually self-care, but Tess, what do you do for self-care?
Well, I don't really do like the traditional, what you would think for self-care. I think we talked about this before, but like I used to do a lot of self-care. I would get acupuncture, cupping, massage, facials, go to the spa, just like all this relaxing, like real self-care, and now it's like I have to hire help so that I do not lose my mind, pretty much. Like that's my self-care. I've just shifted my priorities and what I spend my money on. And that works for me, and I do like to go on walks. I go on walks and I like to be outside in the sun. I take the kids outside and just be in the nature. Mm-hmm. And that's an easy thing to do. Take them to the park and hang out with friends. I do that. Things that don't cost money, mm-hmm. and then what does cost money, then I prioritize that and it makes my life easier. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's like the best self-care you could ever get is something that's going to make your life easier as a mother, especially of 4, almost 5.
Soon to be 5. Yeah. That's a really great perspective because so many of us, we think of self-care as like you said, going to the spa, getting a mani-pedi, things, and they are. But there's also other ways where if you know that something makes you happier and puts your mind at ease, that's self-care. One of the things that I do, I love going to the spa and all that stuff, but who really has time or that much money? But actually journaling is one of the things that I do because sometimes I just need to vent and some things are just not meant for other people to hear. And it's just a way for me to write things out and get things off of my mind. And another one is, and I didn't think of this until I actually started doing it, was actually talking to my therapist. Having someone, I pay someone to listen to me rant, and she helps me reframe my perspective. And to me, that brings me a lot of peace of mind. She validates a lot of feelings that I have, and she gets to the root cause of what I consider my crazy thoughts or my crazy actions. And she realizes, hey, actually, there was a sane reason for it. And that brings me a lot of peace of mind knowing that I'm not insane. It just may have come out a little crazy, but there was a normal, well-meaning intention under it. And that's what I do for self-care is I journal. So other people don't have to hear my crazy thoughts all the time. And then I pay someone to listen to my crazy thoughts.
So instead of paying the spa and the masseuse or whatever, you pay your therapist. I love it.
There you go. And
I pay my housekeeper.
But that brings you peace of mind to have a clean home, to know that when you put your kids in a tub, it's been scrubbed, right?
Yep. I need peace of mind, especially I'm OCD, especially about cleanliness. And if I don't have that, everything falls apart. And my husband tells me this all the time too. Like if I am like not at peace, nothing is going to function properly because everything like stems from me, I'm the one that's there.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly and I was really surprised where this came from. When I first came home with my daughter, I was talking to my dad, and he saw that I was in distress, and my dad said, you have to be okay for your family to be okay. And that blew my mind, that came from my dad, because I thought he was more of the, oh no, it's a male alpha everything. And he said no. And that's when I stopped to think, oh wow, I do need help. I do need to reframe things.
Yeah.
Also, other things that we could do for self-care outside of, spas. When you go to the grocery store, get something that's easy to cook. If that makes it easier for you that night, that's self-care too. It's okay. It's okay to have, if you have to get the mac and cheese for the night, that's okay. Or the rotisserie chicken, do it. Or do takeout pizza. True. Pizza is a great option.
Yeah. I'm all about anything that makes my life easier. That is my self-care too. Yeah, anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Pre-chopped veggies, sign me up for that container. Thank you very much.
Exactly. So let's talk about the evolving identity of, I guess, us as individuals, us as a couple, once parenthood's, it comes with a loss of individuality, parenthood, and it can spill into your relationship because you don't have that also. So if you are like a lot of women who identify with their career, which you can identify with, adding motherhood to your skill set could totally throw off your whole idea of who you are and what your life goals are. And your role as a mom or a dad may bring new aspects to who you're, like, including self-worth, pride, challenges like, what is your mom's style? Are we good cop, bad cop? Handling big questions such as religion. These new feelings, they influence how partners view themselves, both in the relationship and also individually.
That's completely true. When I became a mom, or decided that I was going to really pursue becoming a mom, I had a loss of my sense of self, because everything was all about my career. First, it was all about school. I was going to be a doctor, and then I went to school. I'm a medical student. And then I evolved into healthcare admin. Okay, I'm running all these things. I'm managing all these people. And now I felt at first I'm just a mom, and I'm not just a mom, because I use so much of myself, my own individual skills in becoming a successful mom. And one of the things that I did was my husband really encouraged me to have individual growth. He wanted me to pursue my own interests, my own hobbies, and doing something like this, like a podcast. Never would I have thought I would do something like this. This is so outside of my normal skill set and outside of my personality, but it's actually a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this. I'm enjoying talking to you, Tessie, and to you out there. Hopefully you enjoy listening to us. Finding that I have new skills. Crafting is another one that I never thought I could do, because I was not crafty, but kids love crafts. And the other day, I built a whole little village out of pipe cleaners. I didn't know I could do that.
Cool. That's cool.
But also maintaining my own friendships, knowing that I have people like you out there, Tessie, and people who help me remember who I was, but are also encouraging who I am today and who I can be in the future. That's a big one for me.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. It is so interesting how, who I was as a person before kids was just such a neurotic human being. That's like got it. I mean, I'm still neurotic to an extent.
I would never characterize you as neurotic, honestly. And I've known you as a mama bear. I've only known you as a mom. I didn't know Tessie before she had kids. I would not say you're neurotic. Me, yes. Me, absolutely.
But that is one thing that I do feel like has shifted for me is I used to be very rigid, very inflexible, very impatient. I would take everything so seriously, you know, and now after having kids, like you just don't have those luxuries, honestly. You don't. Like you have to be flexible, you have to be patient, you have to have basically no expectations, because the second you have expectations as a mother, like you're gonna be let down 9 times out of 10. I would say, like, not everything goes like unplanned or whatever, but 9 times out of 10 you plan something and it is not gonna go that way. Yeah, so like before I had kids or before I was a mother, like the tiniest little things would just throw me off for so long and upset me like you wouldn't believe. And now, like nothing phases me. Literally nothing phases me. I'm just like, oh, that happened? Okay. You know, like it's so hard to explain. Just I'm so chill. I'm just like chill now.
That is how I know you. That's how I know you.
But see, and at the same time, I'm like a huge mama bear. I'm more confrontational than I ever used to be. Like if I have to be, I will be confrontational. So it's like this dichotomy. I'm more patient, but at the same time, it's like if you push me too far, I will bite, you know, where before I would just like walk away or whatever, you know. But I'm also more compassionate as a human being. And I am compassionate as a human being, but I definitely wasn't compassionate to mothers before I had kids. I just was like super judgy. And so now
Same.
I'm just like, I understand. I understand. And I also know like everybody has their own journey and everyone has challenges. Like nobody has like a perfect life, which is something that I think you also just learn with time as you mature.
Yes. You get a reality check. So let's talk about the biggest challenge of all. How do we keep the spark alive in a relationship? So you're exhausted, you're stressed, you're just trying to survive moment by moment, not even the day, but the moment by moment. So how do you keep that romance alive? We all know it's going to take a hit. Your date nights are not going to be there. They're going to get fewer. Those spontaneous moments of affection, those big plans that you used to have to take those trips, they're not there anymore. And also physical intimacy can take a back seat to things like eating, sleeping, and brushing your teeth. So, but you can't forget about your partner because that's really important. So how can we keep the spark alive? Tessie, is that an issue for you guys? I kind of know the answer to that one.
Wow, we're on our 5th kid, so we don't really have a problem in that area. But the thing about it is that it's just changed. Like it's evolved, you know. It's not like this big romantic like escapade, you know. It's a quickie, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's when do we have time? Okay, we got time.
We have 5 minutes, go.
Yeah. But hope none of the kids wake up in the meantime.
So this is something that I struggled with, and I still do, because finding the time for romance, for not even the intimacy part, but just connecting is really hard. So again, for me, it's small affections like a kiss or holding hands or watching something funny, because for us, laughter is so healing. It's one of our favorite things to do is just curling up and watching something funny before we fall asleep. And again, we do it on the nursery floor. Nothing else is happening, but we are just laughing at. Right now, we're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I just feel connected to him because I'm like, oh yeah, that's I can just like drop an inside joke with him and he gets it, and that makes me feel connected. That makes me feel good. So it may be silly, but it works for us. And what we like to do is we try our best, and I know not everyone can do this, but we plan just one vacation for just the two of us every year. That's
awesome.
That's something that we realize that we have to do for ourselves. And you and I, we discussed this before, but we had our first vacation, my husband and I, we had our first vacation without baby, without family, without anyone else for the first time last year. And I was a little bit nervous. I was like, what am I going to talk to him about? What am I going to do? Do I still like spending time with him? And once we got settled in, it was not a problem. We had a great time, and it was like we never missed a beat, and that made me feel so much relief. And we realized, hey, we need to plan at least one, even if it's a long weekend, just the two of us, away from everyone else, just to reconnect. And I highly recommend that if you can do that.
Yeah, I think I actually look forward to those days when I can do that, when we're not in the season of like babies and infants and toddlers and needy little kids. I look forward to that because like right now, pretty much we do really commit to like every night we say goodnight, hug and kiss goodnight, no matter what. Every morning we like hug and kiss good morning, no matter what. You know, if one of us is leaving the house, we always like hug and kiss goodbye, you know, and stuff. So we like keep it throughout the day. We're like constantly at least prioritizing each other in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we just have never prioritized like a big, just like a getaway, you know, but we really can't, not with like baby after baby after baby. It's like not a possibility because I'm not going to leave my babies when they're like infants. I just can't do it. Like physically, I just can't do it. It just tears me up when they're super small. So I can't do it. And then we did do it. We left my third boy when he was like 2.5 with family. And it wasn't a getaway. I still had my infant with me, but we did go away for like a weekend. And I just like, I don't know. I don't know if that changed who he is or if he was going to be who he always was. But like something in my brain is like, I shouldn't have left him so young. I don't know how I damaged him, you know. And then I start getting all this mom guilt that I'm just like, I don't need that. So it's fine. We'll get all of these like getaways when they're older. I'm just not going to put myself through it. There's the neurotic in me.
Again, another version of self-care, right? That's another version of self-care. Yeah. Knowing your limits.
Yes, knowing your limits and not pushing them.
There you go.
Yes.
So teamwork is essential for keeping the whole dynamic of a family going. Challenges, they're going to help create a stronger bond between you and your partner. If you look at times in your life when you have the deepest friendships, they're probably from the hardest times in your life, like when you had a really hard job or like when you went through tough schooling. It's almost like it's your version of boot camp in your life that you create the strongest bonds and that unspoken friendship and understanding. And parenting can be that way for you too. But let's be honest, it's easy for one partner to feel like they're doing more than the other. I know, keeping score, don't do it. So how can you find that balance? I guess it comes from sharing the load, right?
Yeah. I never really thought about that when you're like going through a hard time, the people that you are in your life, like you do actually, I do have the best friendships from those times when I've had like been going through the hardest struggles in my life. That's such an interesting perspective I never even thought about. But it's true. And that's probably why like our bonds, I've heard that men like really bond to women who have their babies for whatever reason. I'm sure it's a biological reason, but it makes sense. And so like for us, we divide and conquer. We have 4 kids. There's only 2 of us. So at the end of the day, our entire mindset, like as parents, as even humans, just together, is we have a very strong partnership and we have a strong commitment to the end goal. And because we know that this is just a season in life and there's going to be an end to it. And so what's our goal at the end? So we have a strong commitment to like, what do we want at the end of this? And then we kind of like work backwards. And so just for instance, like at night, whenever I have a newborn baby, he takes all the other kids at night so that Like, how could I possibly be up with 5 kids at night? And most of them sleep through the night at this point, but it just takes that extra stress off of me that I don't have to worry about them. When I'm up nursing every 2 hours or up with the baby at night, I don't have to worry that like another one is going to wake up, because I've been there when he's gone out of town or something. And it's so stressful. I don't sleep at all, because every little noise, I'm like, is that one of them? Is that one of them? Is that one of them up?
Yeah.
So that's like a huge, that's where we have like, we divide and conquer basically. If he's doing baths and I'm cleaning after dinner, or the other way around, you just have to like do teamwork.
Yeah.
Got to work together.
You do what needs to be done. And that's what my husband and I do. We used to divide it by our strengths. And that made me really angry, because my strengths are at home. I did the cooking, the cleaning, all the housewife things before we had a kid, and now we have a kid and it's still on me. And that's when I started keeping score. Okay, I do all these things in the house. What are you doing? And we stopped that, and we just said, okay, what needs to be done? And we worked it out so that we both can do it. So for example, we have to empty the dishwasher or set up the bottles or something like that. We both can set up the bottles. It doesn't matter who's on nights or anything like that. If we have a spare moment, it gets done, and that's it. It's off of our plates. So instead of saying, I think that it's important to decide what works for you. Everyone can talk about, what works for them, but it's really thinking about what works for you. Because for me, everyone said, it's divided by whose strengths it is. Well, that's not really fair, because the whole strength is my house. And now what are you doing, buddy? Because I'm angry. I think that's something I need to talk to my therapist about. I think I have a lot of anger.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, hiring help at our house, like to do some of these things, has really, it does strengthen our relationship, because I don't get resentful of him that like, well, why am I doing this for you? You're a perfectly capable adult, and, and we both have like the same end goal. Like the children are the most important. Our relationship is very important when it comes to raising the kids. And at the end of the day, if we're not happy together, they're not going to be happy. Nothing, like it's just all going to implode.
Yeah.
So my husband recognizes that, and he supports that, thankfully. And so that you just got to do what you got to do. Like, don't get angry and resentful. Come up with a solution. Mm-hmm. And that's our solution. There's a million different ways to come up with solutions, though. So whatever works for you.
Find what works for you. That's what we're about too. We are all about finding what works for you and your family, because there's not just one way to do it.
Yeah, these are just our ways. They may or may not be right. They may be crazy. Who knows? But
it's right for us.
Exactly.
And finally, let's touch on one other thing that often gets overlooked when you become a mom. And that's trying to find yourself again as an individual after having kids. We talked about this earlier in our segment. We felt as though we have lost our identity. And I felt that way. But taking time for yourself, whether it's through hobbies, time with your girlfriends, exercising, or even reading a book that doesn't rhyme, can make you less angry, less sad, less resentful, and that you've taken care of yourself. So it's important to remember that while your relationship has changed, it doesn't mean that it's lost. It's just evolving, because that's what we do when we're alive. We change, because if we stop changing, I guess we're dead. And that's not great. That's really bad for the family.
That's not a good alternative. That's really bad for the family. Yeah.
So incorporate your new identity as a mom, as a parent, into your growth as a couple. So even though it may look different, make sure the foundation of love, respect, and communication are still there.
Yeah. So it is interesting. It's almost like when you become a mother, like your previous version of you is like no longer. And now you're a completely different person. and embrace that and just go with it. You know, I think that's the beauty of life, is that it is constantly changing. Nothing ever stays the same in life, you know? And so you get to embrace, like, we get to be moms. How cool is that? How cool.
Really cool.
Like, these little humans run around, like, they worship us. They actually really do worship us, you know.
Right now.
They haven't gotten to the point where they hate me yet.
My daughter will listen to this episode when she's a teenager and go, Mom, I do not worship you. I dislike you.
My end game is that they all like me at the end of this. I still haven't figured out how to accomplish that while simultaneously being crazy. So, like, I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But it's like a 20-year experiment.
It's the long game. It's the long game, Tessie. That's where we're in.
Like, before having kids, I didn't think that, like, the next version of me was going to be like a crazy, rageful, like, psychopath.
No, I think I did.
I turned into.
No, that's pretty on point with my personality.
So just embrace it. If that's you, just embrace it. Get therapy.
Yeah, that's why I have a therapist. It's great.
And just be thankful that your husband still loves you, right? At the end of the day.
But I think you said it best. I mean, your identity as a mom, it's not, you know, your identity as mom is just another layer of who you are. It's just like, as we said on Pearls of Motherhood, it's part of your pearl of motherhood. Your foundation, who you were before a mom, is there. You're just adding on another piece of your evolution into that perfect, wonderful piece of you.
True. And it changes and evolves as the stages change and evolve with your kids too. You're going to be a different mother tomorrow, or like in 10 years from now, than you probably are now, because necessity. It's all necessity.
Or my daughter's going to say, you have a different personality, mother. That's great. You're crazy.
You know, they're all going to think we're crazy anyways. You know, we might as well just embrace it.
Okay. Well, I'm helping the next generation of therapists out there, okay? You have to have the next generation of patients.
Exactly. You know, so like the previous generation screwed up their kids in certain ways. We're probably screwing up our kids in different ways that we don't even know yet. So
it's just full circle.
Yeah. So anyways, that's all the time we have for today. So remember, whether you're adjusting to new rhythm of motherhood, rediscovering your connection, or just trying to make it through the day, which is pretty much like survival mode of every mother, it's all about balance, communication, and most importantly, keeping the love alive. At the end of the day, it is all about love at the end of the day. So we're human. We're meant to change and adapt, and we're good at it. And that doesn't mean that it always comes easy, but it can come with finding fulfillment. So celebrate your wins, laugh at your hiccups, and revisit your love story when you can.
Thank you so much for listening to us at Pearls of Motherhood. Please feel free to contact us at pearlsofmotherhood.com and to email us at ideas@pearlsofmotherhood.com. We're also on Instagram at Pomcast. That's POMCASTS. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode or any ideas for future episodes. After all, we are a podcast for all moms, and we'd love to know what you'd like to explore. New episodes drop once a week on Friday, so stay tuned for more fun and more pearls. Have a great day, and talk to you soon.
Bye.